Young Dolph was like a lot of rappers in the industry, the fact that for some reason, it seemed like they had a lot of people who were afraid of them. Like, he gave off this presence that let people around him know that he was ready for anything. And apparently, anything even involved some industry beefs that some people believe have led to him getting shot at in the past. Be sure to watch until the end of the video to find out why Young Dolph was beefing with one of the biggest independent artists in the industry before he sadly passed away.
Now, you and Yo Gotti, man, why can't you and Gotti just come together and get this money? Ain't gonna never happen.
What you talking about?
Young Dolph's criminal history. Back in 2018, Young Dolph and his crew found themselves in some hot water when they ended up being pulled over by the police, and everyone aside from Dolph caught a charge. It was that day that the world found out that no matter what, Dolph and his people wouldn't be caught lacking. The incident occurred on a Sunday, and as of right now, it's unclear as to why the police wanted to stop Dolph and his crew. Sure enough though, after following them around a bit, the cops turned their lights on and signaled for Dolph's vehicle to pull over, and they did. But when police approached the vehicle, the situation grew tense when they realized that everyone in the car, except for Dolph apparently, was strapped. And not only were they armed, but they had their guns in their hands ready to go. Now, they probably were getting prepared for a worst case scenario. I mean, Dolph had been shot at on multiple occasions leading up to this point. That doesn't matter to the police though. Everyone was pulled out of the car and Dolph's entire entourage was put in cuffs and taken away. Dolph might not have had a weapon on him at that time, but it's clear as day that his people were ready to do whatever they had to keep him safe. His next bust was a similar traffic stop, only this time Dolph ended up in cuffs himself. His next run-in with the police happened in Georgia back in November of 2019. Dolph had been driving around his Lamborghini SUV that still had the paper tags on the license plate. And local law enforcement noticed this and noticed that they were also expired. So they followed Dolph for a bit and then attempted to pull him over. But it turned out that Dolph wasn't ready to stop right away. TMZ reported that Dolph continued driving for a few blocks before finally yielding to the police. However, during the drive, he was apparently throwing what police believed to be marijuana out of the window. When they got Dolph out of the car, they put him in cuffs and began to search the vehicle. The search turned up nothing though, and due to the fact that the leafy substance that he was throwing out of the car happened to be on a busy road, they were unable to fully determine what it was. So at the end of the day, they had to let Dolph go with only a ticket for littering and warning for the expired tag. Though the rapper didn't get in too much trouble, it is clear that he knew how to not get busted for buds. And it was definitely lucky that they didn't try to get him on fleeing for not pulling over right away. Young Dolph versus Yo Gotti. Now everyone knows that if you are a rapper, there is like a 99% chance that you are going to end up beefing with someone. And a lot of time it ends up being with other artists from the same city that you came out of. Young Dolph was no different. He actually had one of the craziest feuds with another artist that came out of Memphis years before him. And of course, I'm talking about none other than Yo Gotti. Gotti has been around since the mid-90s, and ever since Dolph has appeared in the industry, the two have been competing over the crown and title of King of Memphis. Their feud really began after Gotti offered Dolph a record deal, but Dolph turned him down on account of him wanting to stay independent. And after that, the two would go on to throw diss after diss at one another. Dissing is one thing, but things got really serious when it was alleged that Black Youngsta, a rapper on Gotti's label, was responsible for shooting at Dolph with over 100 shots. Now, Black Youngsta continues to claim his innocence.
Hey, bro, it's 100 shots. This is documented everywhere. I'm like, yeah, all right, man.
Do you feel like it's kind of inviting drama though? Like the name it Bulletproof is kind of like taunting, like on some na 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 na.
I don't even care.
But if he was involved, a lot of people believe that it wouldn't happen without Gotti's involvement. Dolph would go on to squash the beef after an interview with The Breakfast Club, where he basically announced that he just doesn't have time for that stuff anymore. And that makes sense. I mean, he already had made a name for himself. He didn't have to prove himself by beefing with anyone at that point, so why waste the energy? Young Dolph versus Soulja Boy. Another major feud that Dolph was involved in happened to be with another major name of the industry that also happens to be independent. And we are of course talking about Soulja Boy. The Crank That rapper made a big name for himself in the early to mid 2000s and has ridden that wave of success ever since. He seemed to have a problem with Dolph calling himself independent when he has a label, even though it's his own label.
He's independent. He make Young Dolph make $100,000 a show. He's independent.
Young Dolph signed to Empire, Ghazi. That's not independent. I'm independent. Ricky Morty, 100%. All the money go to me, 100%.
I don't know, the history behind their beef still confuses a lot of people. But not the two artists involved. No, both Soulja and Dolph have been known to get heated about one another in interviews, or just dissing back and forth online. Some people say the two fastest ways to piss Soulja off is to mention Drake or Dolph. Now the beef wasn't all one-sided though. Dolph and his team would often take shots at Soulja, even going as far as apparently sliding into his DMs talking about how they're going to smoke him. Normally, I would say that they are just talking trash, but after hearing that his whole team was ready to shoot for him when they got pulled over that one time, I can believe that they would want that kind of action if Soulja stepped up. However, the beef never came to an amicable end, and it most likely never will, seeing as Dolph is no longer with us. Final thoughts. Whether or not people loved him or hated him, there is no doubting that Young Dolph was one of the greatest of all time to come out of Memphis, and it was a sad day when he passed. So, I just want to say rest in peace to Young Dolph, and remember to keep his family in your thoughts. As for now, be sure to subscribe to stay in tune with all of our hip-hop news and information. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on our next upload. Until next time, stay safe out there.